Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the next reaction to 911 Season 3. The last episode we watched was called The Taking of Dispatch 911, which was a really tense but fun episode of the show. It felt very different to a lot of the episodes of the show that we've seen, so it was kind of like a heist episode where we were following this group of characters who were about to pull off this art robbery, but also taking the hostages at the dispatch station of 911 at the same time. But they were obviously the bad guys. It wasn't like the good guys. We weren't following the good guys initially. And then we also got some really cool scenes when they actually went into the dispatch centre, took control, had a really interesting plan to revolve the team around to keep them away from certain areas whilst they were doing this robbery, which ultimately went wrong because there's a lot of factors going against them. One, the great team they've got in that dispatch centre, Maddie, who else? His name? I can't remember any names. Ooh. The lady who had the EpiPen thing. I want to call him Craig again. Josh. Why do I always want to call him Craig? I don't know. I think he looks like someone that I know called Craig. So just in my head, I just want to call him Craig all the time. And Josh, and they would do their own little plans to try and get the word out that there was something wrong, send out fake codes and things just so that, you know, people were aware that something was going down at the dispatch centre, whilst Athena, Buck and Chimney on the outside were trying to put things together as well. But on top of that, they also had the inside person that was the lady whose name I can't remember right now, but she was working against them and we're going to double cross them with the security guard. And it was all a really interesting episode. Felt very different, but was very fun with some great scenes between the people in the centre and the people outside. And like one of my favourite scenes was like when Sue had the gun and she was like, one more move and I put a bullet in your brain, or whatever it was that she said. I can't remember the exact line. It's been a couple of weeks since I watched it, but it was just really cool and I really enjoyed the episode and I'm excited to see what this episode brings. So this episode is episode 15, I think? 15. Episode 15 of the season, and it's called Eddie Begins. So another Begins episode, which usually show us how they became one of the first responders, how they became a police person or a fire officer or a paramedic, and usually they're quite hard to watch, from Athena's like emotional, you know, case of her boyfriend that got killed, to Hen and Chimney struggling to be accepted for who they are. So I'm interested to see what Eddie's journey is, and just to see what was he going to touch on. Maybe bring his ex-wife into it, because obviously she was a big part of his life, and then Christopher was born. They knew that Christopher was going to be a disabled child, and there was trouble with that. I think Eddie was in the army, right? And so maybe he was in the war, maybe something to do with his army time. Let's jump into the episode to find out. But I'll probably cry again, because as I got a comment recently saying, you cry far too much. And I'm like, hello, I know. How do I feel? I have to edit it. I have to watch myself be an emotional wreck all the time. So, you know, I feel your pain, don't worry. Let's jump into the episode to see what it's all about. If you enjoyed the video, leave some comments down below. Let me know what you thought of the episode. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And please take a look at the Patreon link down below for the full reaction to this episode and to help support the channel. Let's jump into 911 Season 3, Episode 15, was it? 15. Eddie Begins. I'm excited for this one. Plus, Eddie, gorgeous. Anytime I get a chance to spend a lot of time looking at Eddie, I'm okay with. Maybe this was why Eddie was clean shaven at the last episode, because for this episode they want to make him look a bit younger, maybe. Oh. Christopher.
Would you like to cut the cord, Mr. Diaz?
Oh no, that's okay. You go ahead. I'll just.
You're a combat medic, but this makes me squeamish.
It's a different thing though.
Trust me.
Yeah.
It's always different when it's personal.
Sophia, that where you were golf court, right? And then Adriana was an emergency C-section, so you dodged that bullet 3 times.
But I always made it back in time for the good part.
Yeah.
Like I missed this. My baby had a baby. Honey, I couldn't get her fast enough.
This just makes me sad because we know what happens to her.
Oh, I couldn't be better. I got a clean bill of health and a new set of boobs. Well, I do.
Okay.
They look great.
The sooner I go, the sooner I finish my tour and come back home for good.
I'm holding you to that.
Oh.
We both are.
At least we know he gets back in one piece. A lot of people didn't.
St. Christopher.
The patron saint of travelers. To protect you and keep you safe.
Oh.
And to remind you that you have a family to come home to.
always gonna fight to come home to my family.
When hello?
I'm still alive down here! I'm still alive down here!
Don't hit too many things in case things fall.
I've got eyes on Hen, who I can already tell screwed up my coffee.
Like hell. 1 cinnamon coconut macchiato with a quad shot, half bump of vanilla.
So you don't like coffee, you like
And yes,
vanilla,
already is working
basically.
just fine. Over.
It's like that memes about the white girls
There's
that
no cinnamon.
I love coffee,
Sound off.
but they put so much vanilla and sugar and caramel and stuff in it that
Buck,
you don't
the
actually
whole
taste the
point of
coffee.
the
You don't
test
like
is to Say
coffee.
it into the radio.
Dad!
Hey, guys.
5-alarm school emergency. He's supposed to tell Miss Flores today what he's presenting for show and tell on Friday.
And so we suckered it into stock.
And he's
here
so
on the way.
handsome.
You know I can't resist a cute face. Somebody was snooping in your closet.
Lord.
It's a silver strike and my dad's a hero.
We don't need jewelry to know that.
You ever just wear it? Never found an outfit to go with it.
Oh, if I had a medal, I would never take it off.
We know.
Stop
Sure
flirting,
this
you
is what you're gonna bring
two.
to school on Friday?
If you want Eddie to take it off, just
Is
ask.
that a story you can tell 4th graders?
Did he fall on that?
Hey, can you hear me?
Hello?
All right, we're gonna need a visual.
How small is this kid?
Can a boy even survive a fall that far?
Guess if it's tight,
There's lots of friction.
Yeah.
He's slow to fall.
you wouldn't fall like.
He's
You'd
really down.
fall really slowly. Oh, I don't like this. It's like a horror film.
He's alive.
Look at the way he's pinned.
I don't
Arms
like it.
Forward, chest constricted, shallow breath.
45 feet.
Poor
That
kid.
oxygen's an issue.
Falls another 5, he drowns. Can't pull him out from above. No way to access him from the side of the reservoir.
Dig around, maybe?
some intersecting feeder pipes down there.
So how do we get him out? We
Good
dig.
question. That's what I said.
We set up a drill rig.
I should work for
down
this
the well.
company.
We use it to dig a parallel tunnel, wider.
Was supposed to head north and vanish out to sea, has now shifted course and is directly over Los Angeles County.
It's
With
convenient.
torrential rains and gusty winds expected overnight, it's making an already complicated rescue potentially even more dangerous.
Hayden, can you hear me? Hayden. Hayden, please. Please look
Oh, I
up.
bet he's really scared.
Okay, you can hear us now.
You re-enlisted without even discussing it with me. How is that doing it for me?
I didn't have a choice. Someone has to pay for all of this. I mean, the house and the cars and now Christopher's illness, the medical bills and therapists. Christopher's priority right now. You should stay home with him.
So should you. Okay, we need you here. I cannot
kind of
do
agree with her,
this
though.
without you.
I'm trying to provide for this family. That's the reason I enlisted in the first place.
Again, without telling me.
You should
I
really
got pregnant and you
consult your
signed up.
partner in these kind of
Right.
situations.
You keep saying that you didn't have a choice, but you're the one who keeps making these choices for the rest of us. Christopher needs you. Go get your son. I'll get dinner.
I know what comments saying this episode really made people sad with Eddie,
Okay. You're okay.
but I kind of see why she's pissed. I would
Wants
be
you, not me.
You're still a stranger to him, but you don't have to.
if you're never around.
Shannon.
Eddie, I don't need a provider. I need a partner. You don't know what it's
Yeah.
like going through this alone.
You're not the only one that feels alone.
I'm not saying I get that. They at the wrong place.
Hayden!
Hey, hi.
Hey, it's me, Eddie. I told you we were coming for you. Are you doing okay down there, Hayden?
Oh, I bet.
Hey, Cap!
It's
I got eyes on
freezing.
Hayden. He's falling. I can't raise him on the radio. Prep the rig. We're bringing him up.
Oh, shit.
Can we give him more time? He could have this.
I feel like they'll get Aiden out.
To be suffocating in mud by
Cut to me crying in 5 minutes time and Aiden's dead, but
Rub up down to 1 minute. I'm gonna reach down for you now, okay?
no, they're gonna.
Pull him out now.
No, please don't. Okay. I don't know how smart that idea was. But I get why he did it, absolutely.
Oh my God! He cut the damn line!
But you've got to think smart, right? There's a reason why he cut it.
Wait. Did you find out about your leave?
Yes. We gotta go now. I'm still waiting.
It's my mom has cancer.
What? But she had a double vasectomy. The other.
No, it's different. Cancer is endometrial carcinoma stage 3. I have to go see her, Eddie.
We'll figure something out. Maybe call my parents. They can...
Really feel for her. Like, he can't do much from Afghanistan, I get that. But being essentially a single mother, with a mother, your own mother's dying, and feeling like you've got no support, even though what he's doing is very important, obviously. I'll probably talk about it more at the end. Some scary shit.
Good job, buddy. Come on.
I don't know how people do this. I just don't get it. How can this be people's... I mean, I understand why it happens and why war happens, but the fact that there's people out there doing this pretty much daily is so scary.
Gotta get this tourniquet on it. No, Ross, stand down.
Jesus. That's a big gun. Because when you see scenes like this, you're like, I don't want to be too angry at Eddie for not being home, because this is scary stuff and it's life or death.
He's coming home with us too.
I don't like it.
To protect you and keep you safe.
We know he gets home, but at this point, I don't see how.
Have a son? Trying to provide for this family. He wants you, not me.
Hey. It's weird, like, I know he goes home because he's obviously in the show, but part of me was like, oh my god, it feels like everyone's gonna die. I think it's just like, it's sad because it's so real.
You got them all out, Staff Sergeant Diaz. Got a bit more metal in you than you had before, and no doubt a couple of new nightmares to add to the pile, but you're alive. And so are they.
He did a great job.
Call my wife. You'll get your chance. And everyone gets to go home for a spell. Even Greg.
Oh.
You did good, Diaz.
Doesn't feel like enough.
Never does.
Honey, he can't drink this. He needs a straw and no ice. Where are the juice boxes we bought?
No idea.
Oh, maybe Daddy can go be a hero in the kitchen, huh? Get a big old juice box. Good job.
Good job.
Okay, well, the family could be a bit nicer about things. Jesus.
Have you given any more thought to California? We could leave in the morning, just you, me, and Christopher. The open road.
We have a house full of people, half whom flew here to see us. Now really isn't the best time.
Come on, you're finally home.
You immediately want me to get into a car, drive 800 miles with a 6-year-old.
Your son.
I know that. Can I maybe just get a little damn time?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like it.
Take all the time you need.
I got like so many conflicting thoughts that I want to talk about at the end about like how I feel for both of them.
What's the matter? Where's Mommy?
She's gone.
Oh, I forgot she just left, didn't she? Okay. I know I keep saying it, but God.
That better?
Horrible thing to go through.
Thank you, buddy.
He needs to take better care of that bloody chain. He keeps dropping it everywhere.
Oh. Thank God you're okay.
There's movement.
Yay.
Let me get you two somewhere quiet. Pull Eddie up. Let's all go home.
Wow, God. I would be so scared. I would just give up and be like, I'm dead. We'll get him back, I presume, I think.
I'm still alive down here! I'm still alive down here!
Please stop, as I said before, hitting things.
You're in over your head, Edmundo.
Working around the clock, 3 different jobs, and you don't have time for what matters most. Christopher. And that's why we think he should live with us permanently.
These jobs are just temporary.
She gave up on you, and then she left her son. I will always blame her for that.
But now you want me to leave him too.
I feel like no one's looking good in a situation.
He barely knows you. You haven't been around most of his life.
I don't remember you being around much when I was his age.
I was working.
So was I.
I mean,
and maybe you regret those life choices now, but you don't get to make up for lost time with your children by stealing mine.
Oh, hey, no one is stealing Christopher. Look, the reality is your father and I are the only constant in his life.
Which might be
We've been there
true.
almost every single day since the day he was born. You can't just take him away from the only
This isn't
stable
right.
thing he's got left. He belongs with us.
Mom.
Eddie, don't drag him down with you, Eddie.
Get thoughts. I, as with everything else in this episode, I can see every side of it, and I don't fully disagree with some of what they're saying, or the point they're trying to make, but they're being awful about it.
Hey, did you ever miss me when I was gone?
I miss you all the time.
I hate when Christopher talks because he makes you want to cry.
You know, I was thinking about taking another trip. Together.
Really?
Yeah. I miss you all the time too, kid.
Oh God, no. You know how I feel about being underwater. To be in an enclosed space, underwater, underground, trapped. No.
Maybe some drainage tunnels.
Right, don't give up now.
Oh, you got a kid?
Christopher.
That's super adorable. I love kids.
I love this one.
What's this montage all about?
Welcome to the Los Angeles Fire Department.
No.
Firefighter Diaz.
Oh, that's what the 118 is. The family we chose.
I can't see it. I'm just digging my head in the sand and I'm ignoring the fact that this feels like he's going to die. Oof. That Halloween costume.
Christopher needs you.
I see.
Daddy!
I'm always gonna fight to come home to my family.
Good, he's fighting. Hey! And he's not far away from everybody else, which is good.
Try and pick up Diaz's heat signature. Oh, be easy.
Eddie?
Eddie, I'm pretty cold.
Eddie! Hey!
Helicopter went down, ended up on fire.
Dad got everyone out. He saved them all.
Did my job.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Do you ever wear it?
I'm not really a jewelry kind of guy. Except for this, my St. Christopher medal.
So that's your good luck charm?
No, Christopher is. Oh God.
He is.
Boop. Don't do it. Don't do it. Please say this is the end. Oh! I got through it without really crying. Yes! Okay, that was my reaction to 911 Season 3, Episode 15, Eddie Begins. And that was, as I expected, with all Begins episodes, dramatic, tense, and emotional. And I wanted to cry multiple times because we really got to the heart of who Eddie is and his backstory, and just whenever there's like kids in danger or they bring Christopher on screen, I want to cry a lot. But luckily, I welled up a few times, but I didn't properly cry throughout, so I'm quite proud of myself because I was close to it a number of times. And I think if I'd have let myself believe that Eddie was going to die, I would have been like in bits. But there was a bit of me I was like, I can't believe it. They're not going to do this to me. They're just not. They're not going to do it to the Christopher. I don't believe they're going to kill him off. And at least, at this moment in time, they haven't, so we're okay. So the main thing I want to talk about this episode, there's a few different things, but the main thing, I guess, is about Eddie's relationship with his ex-wife, whose name, again, I cannot remember, and the very conflicted feelings I have about it, because I know, like I say, I got a comment on Patreon that basically said, like, the Eddie Begins episode really pushed people to agree with Eddie, and, like, obviously, with the wife in the past bits we've had with her before she died, there was bits where like we didn't like her, but then we got to hear her side of things a bit more. There was like, well, Eddie's actually not, as innocent and honest as he appeared to be, and so you kind of fell in the middle. And even watching this episode, I don't feel like I fully agree with either side. I think I agree with parts of both of why they did what they did, and I understood both of their reasonings, but I also think that nobody between Eddie, his ex-wife, or Eddie's family came out looking great in terms of the backstory. They made good decisions. No, that's the different way to put it. They made decisions for a good reason in terms of they were trying to do good things, but I don't think necessarily the way they all went about their things made anyone look like the best, if that makes sense. So the initial big argument that we saw between them was Eddie had come back from war after Christopher was born and had signed up for another, I can't remember the phrases, duty, tour, something like that, without consulting his wife. I totally get why she was pissed, and I would be the same. Like, we're in a relationship, and a huge part of being in a long-term committed relationship, especially when you involve children, is communication. And the fact that he did that without speaking to her, I agree with her on this point that that was a bad thing to do. Do I understand why he did it? Yes. At the end of the day, he's got medical bills to pay, a house to pay, all that. So I understand why, well, they got me this opportunity. It's great money. It's going to help you out. I had to take it. And so I understood his logic. But I do think that she is right when she said, you should have spoke to us first. You should have come and speak and told us about it, to communicated, and we could have discussed it. And maybe they would have agreed that, yes, the best thing for him to do is to go on it anyway. But I just think when you're in a long-term committed relationship with children, you shouldn't be making those decisions without consulting that person, because she was home alone with a kid who had special needs. It's difficult. It's difficult as any parent home alone with a child. But when the child's got special needs, it just adds that extra level of finance, of sometimes stress, time, and extra effort that things are going to take, because he's going to need help where some kids might not. And he's going to need help doing things, or his learning might be stunted, and just various different things that are going to be part and parcel of dealing with a kid with cerebral palsy. And she was alone, obviously with his family, but felt very lonely at home because her partner was away at war. And it wasn't just that he was away, because obviously he was away doing a good thing, a good, noble, heroic thing, but then agreed to go again without speaking to her. And so I agree with her on that point that you should have communicated with us. But I do also agree that he was trying to do a noble thing by going back to war, which is hard and scary. And we saw that with the helicopter crash. But before that point, we then saw that she called him and said, amongst everything else that she's dealing with, her mum's got cancer again, and did she say it was terminal? And I have to go and help her. Obviously that, on top of the kid and everything else, it's just a lot for one person to handle. And so she was in a really awful situation, and it's easy to side with Eddie because he's at war doing a really noble thing, and I don't want to piss off the fandom, because I don't disagree with what Eddie's doing. I don't hate the guy. I love Eddie as a character. He's a lot of my favourite characters, and he's gorgeous. But I do entirely sympathise with her as well, is that you're not here, and I'm not blaming you for that, other than the fact that you went without speaking to her, but just, I need help. I don't, like, you got to reach out to the one person that means the most, that is the father of your child, that is your partner, and say, I need help. And it was hard at the time she rang and spoke to him, because he was in the middle of getting his helmet on, getting his suited up to go out, and obviously saw get into a helicopter crash, because the missile hit the helicopter. So I can't say, like, I'm angry with Eddie, I'm not. But I get why she was really struggling, and really, I think people, from what I've seen in the comments, and I'm not blaming it, I think people really just side with Eddie a lot because the wife's not always likeable, and I get that, but put yourself in her shoes, that she's home alone with this kid, and alone, and your mum's dying as well. You're going to be reaching your limit. But then we saw a really hard scene as well with Eddie, where he was in a helicopter that was hit by a missile, the helicopter crashed, and people were getting shot around him, some people were dying, but he managed to get everybody out. And that scene was just generally really sad to watch, because it's just a very real thing that happens. People go to war all the time. People come back, people don't come back. People are in helicopter crashes, in explosions, getting shot, and it's just a very, unfortunately, very normal part of the world now. You know, it always feels like there's always some sort of war going on, and this is just a part and parcel of that we don't always have to see on the regular, but this is a very realistic, I guess, depiction of some of what they have to deal with over there, and that's hard. That's really hard to watch, especially with a character that we love. So that whole scene was really brilliantly done, and glad the helicopter came and saved most of their lives. One of them was already dead, but he still managed to get the body out. Hero, deserved that medal, and deserved to go home after that, because that was horrendous. Really scary nightmare fuel for, like, real life war situations. But then we saw that when he got home, things weren't just hunky-dory. His parents, who I don't like anyway, but they were very, like, critical of him. But there's better ways they could have communicated it. I get that he doesn't know the ins and outs of all the drinks that he likes and the foods that he likes and all the help that Christopher needs and the wants that he has and the way that he likes things. But that's going to come with time. But just the way they were with him about that drink really, really irked me, because that was just like, there was no need to be as cutting as you were. You could have communicated that to Eddie in a helpful way. Like, actually, you know, he doesn't like these kind of drinks. He doesn't like drinks with ice in. You know, I think we've got some juice in the kitchen. Maybe go and get a glass of that. Or, don't worry about it. You don't, like, you didn't know. I'll go get the drink for you. Rather than just the way they go and be a hero, go to the kitchen and get a different drink for him. It really pissed me off. And then the scenes in the kitchen with Eddie and his wife, and how he is still struggling with what happened in Afghanistan, and he wants time and space and just wants things to get settled before anything really happens, any big changes. But she, who's suffered with her parents, she's had a different suffering experience than he has. You know, she's had these controlling parents-in-law telling her how to deal with things, telling her what to do. She's dealt with Christopher alone a lot, as well as having these parents trying to control the situation. So can we just get away for a bit? And so I can see both sides, and I agree with both sides, that she wants to get away from this family unit because they're not very nice and they're quite controlling. And she's like, look, you're back, let's all go as a family somewhere and get away for a bit and start somewhere new or whatever. I get that, and I really felt like I would be the same. But I also feel like I would also be the same as Eddie. I just want a bit of normality for a bit. I'm just back from this awful traumatic situation, and I just want a bit of stability till we go and make these big changes. I just need a bit of time and space. And so, like, I don't disagree with any of their points. I just think they're both traumatized. They're both going through some really hard emotional stuff. Not necessarily communicating with each other the best way. We saw that a lot with when they were both in the season 2, I think it was, when she came back into the situation. They don't necessarily always communicate in the best possible way. They're not the best at that in their relationship. But I don't disagree with any of them. Like, and I kind of get why she left. Is it a good thing to do? No. I'm not supporting that decision. I am not agreeing with that decision. She left a kid. But do I understand why, from a mental health point of view, she might have needed to just escape? Yeah. That fight or flight syndrome in your brain is very, very, very real. And if everything is piled on top of you, one thing after another. And I know from my own experiences with mental health things that when things are getting too much and you see an out, it's so easy to take that out. So, for example, with this, she would never have left Christopher, I don't think, unless Eddie was there, because she would never have left them with the family and whatnot. But her struggles were getting too much for her to deal with her mum and Christopher and her relationship with Eddie and the parents. And so when he was back and things was getting just reaching her limit, she knew if she left, he was with a parent. I don't think she would have left if Eddie wasn't around, you know? But I get why things were too much for her. Do I like the decision she made? No. I said that back in season 2. But I totally understand why in life things can get too much for you. And just you need to just run away from everything. Is it always the best decision? Of course it's not. But I get it. I've been there. I've done that. And I also get why Eddie was struggling because he's come back from a really traumatic war experience with a kid that he doesn't necessarily know how to raise, with a family that aren't necessarily most supportive, and trying to take the kid off him. It's like they could have worked together to raise Christopher in the best possible way. Now, I agreed with some of their points of that you're working all the time, you're not around, he needs stability, he needs support. I get that. Sorry, my nose is really itchy. But because I don't like them, and I don't think they're necessarily, again, communicating in the best possible way with him. They're not trying to find a way to do it with him. They're trying a way to take it Christopher away from him, and that's where I disliked it and disagreed with it. It's like I'm not saying some of your points aren't valid, but you're doing it in a way that's like, we're going to take Christopher from you. You go do you. No. Why don't you sit down together and find a way to do it together? But they didn't want to do that. They wanted to take Christopher away. And like I like that Eddie called his dad out. And he was saying, you weren't around for me much as a kid. And I was like, yeah, because I was working. Hello, I'm doing the same thing and you're criticising me for it. And so rather than working together, you're trying to make amends for what you did to me by stealing my grandkid. And they were like, no, you can't say that. I'm like, well, absolutely, you can. He just proved that he was a bit of a hypocrite, you know? So I do think that the parents are in the wrong, but I'm not going to try and repeat myself too much, but with Eddie and his ex-wife, I don't side with either of them. I don't like some of the decisions that either of them made. I don't think he should have gone back to war without consulting someone, his partner, because they had a kid who needed help and she was alone. I don't think that she should have run away. So they're both well matched in that sense, that they both don't always necessarily deal with things the best way. They don't communicate the best way, but I think they always have good intentions. Maybe run away from the kids, maybe not so much, but I'm always going to love Eddie. Like, he's just a lovable character. And Christopher is pure and innocent, and I love him. It was really nice to see his backstory and how that all transpired and bits of the war and the trauma he went through there. It was interesting that it wasn't about why he became a firefighter necessarily. It was about the war and then him coming back and starting a new career. It was never about why he did what he did. It was just about his decisions with his kid and his ex-partner, which, you know, I think was actually a really interesting take on it. That was all interspersed with the current day situation, which was basically a boy fell down a hole, got stuck, and the storm was coming, he was going to drown, and there was not a lot to say really about that. It was very tense, and Eddie went down, found the kid, they brought him out, tried to drag him out, he cut the wire. It was just really, really, really a good sense of tense scenes. So intense and scary, just that enclosure and that claustrophobic nature of being underground in the tunnels, and they got the kid out, but then the lightning thing fell over, and I really like the fact that he found his own way out. He was swimming out through the tunnels he talked about, and then he looked like he was about to die, and they did the whole montage with shots of his life with the team and Christopher, and I couldn't believe it. I wasn't going to let myself believe that Eddie was going to die. I wasn't going to do it, because the show would not do that to me. 911, you're not going to do that to me. We've seen all the trauma that he's been through. You're not going to kill him off, right? Luckily, they didn't. There was a moment of he's going to die, thinking about his son, but that was actually what spurred him to fight back, which is, I'm never going to leave Christopher. I'm going to fight. I'm going to get myself out of this tunnel. And even though Topside Buck was like really struggling because he wanted his man back, and we saw that when the thing fell over and the whole disappeared, the Buck was trying to scoop out the mud to try and get to him, and that was really hard to watch. But I love the fact that they were getting this big plan together. How we're gonna rescue Eddie, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and Eddie just kind of like was like, you're gonna struggle to find me with thermals because I'm really cold, and it collapsed. Because he got himself out, and he got himself out of that lake, and that was I like that was the outcome, that he fought. He fought and fought and fought. Eddie's a fighter, and with the power of being a father and Christopher, he got himself out of there rather than having to be saved. I quite liked that. Was a really good outcome for that situation. And everybody was okay by the end. And there was just a really heartwarming scene right at the very end with Eddie and Christopher doing show and tell, talking about the silver medal, being in the helicopter, and how Christopher is his lucky charm. And like I say, Eddie's scene with Christopher just makes me want to cry. But that boy's been through it, right? So that boy was in the middle of a tsunami, he got knocked overboard and just dragged away by the current, so he deserves just some happiness for a while. So let's leave Christopher alone. Let's not kill his father off. Let's not do anything traumatic to Christopher, at least till next season. But this is 911, so probably next episode I'll be crying again about something awful happening to one of our main characters, I imagine, because this is the show, right? But that was a really good episode. The Begins episodes are always great. Looking forward to the next one, which I believe is next season. But I don't know how many more main characters' backstories we've got to see. I want to say Book was one. I feel like we've not seen Books yet. Let me have a look. Okay, so looking at the episode list, we've had Hen begins, Chimney begins, Bobby begins again. We've had Athena, and now Eddie. So Book, right? Book left. Book's next season. But then skimming through the list of season 5 and 6, I don't want to look too much in case of, I don't know if there've been spoilers, but it looks like there's no more Begins episodes. Okay, so we don't really have anyone else to look back on, because Hen's had one, Athena's had one, Chimney's had one, Bobby's had one, Book's getting one, Eddie's getting one. I guess Maddie's backstory we know about her being a nurse. That could be an interesting one to see, maybe her life as a nurse, but her main backstory is about Doug, and we saw why she became a 911 operator. So yeah, so only one more Begins episode left to go, but I really love these episodes, and I'm excited to see the next one and just how the next 3 episodes of the season pan out as we reach ever closer to the season finale. As always, my name is Scott. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know down below what you thought of the episode. I'm sure you did. Everybody seems to love episodes about the Begins episodes anyway, and everyone loves Eddie, so I'm sure you'll love this episode. But let me know what you thought of my reaction, and did you have the same sort of... Let me know what your feelings about Eddie and his ex-wife. I can feel my opinions being maybe controversial, because I know I've seen some comments that are just like, Eddie can do no wrong, but can do no wrong. They're amazing, and I'm not saying they're not. They are great, amazing characters, and I love them. But I do like to see every side of an argument if I can, and just see the flaws of a character, because flaws make great characters too. No one's perfect. No one can do no wrong. I've seen that in other shows that I watch where there's characters, and if you watch my channel much, you know who I'm talking about, where some fans think they can do absolutely nothing wrong. But part of the beauty of the great character is they make mistakes, they do bad decisions, they do bad things. And that is a great character. That was a really well-rounded 3D depth of a character, which is that they make decisions that aren't always the best ones, and you don't always agree with. So love this episode for that. Let me know down below what you thought. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Take a look at the Patreon link down below, and I'll see you all very soon for the next episode of 911 Season 3. Bye guys, take care, stay safe.